evening and welcome to DJNTV tonight. We are going to be finding out what happens when you eat bad lasagna. Cubby, you're with us.
Don't do it. Don't eat that lasagna. It is awful.
Actually, we could talk about the chicken incident.
That's not good either.
It's not a good. So for those of you joining us tonight, thank you for being with us. We're going to talk a little bit about Cubby's experience with he came down with COVID, had some stuff with that, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But the first lesson you're going to learn tonight is sometimes you don't want to eat at weddings. Oh man! So Cubby, you've had some interesting experiences, and this fall, I mean, just a few weeks ago, you came down with COVID. For those who don't know where you are, kind of give us what's been going on in Iowa throughout, kind of as things kind of locked down and then came back.
Yeah, so Iowa has been pretty much wide open since the 1st of June. We were on lockdown up until about the first weekend in June, but by June, I'd lost all of my June weddings. So I was able to perform on the last weekend of June. Iowa has there's no restrictions. We have the 6 feet and the half capacity. But here lately or throughout the summer, I have not seen any tables at wedding venues. Even restaurants are getting more and more lax in those restrictions. That they're closer together. It's just like it's not even here, but our numbers are outrageously crazy. And you can kind of watch, if you watch national news, Iowa's mentioned all the time about how poorly we're handling it. And our governor is just not, I feel, is doing a well enough job. I go back and forth though, John, on that. I'm fortunate and blessed that I'm able to work. I've been able to work since June, but like I said, we've lost all those weddings. And I go back and forth on that. I waver. I'm like, God, am I doing the right thing? And should I not be doing weddings? The weddings that I do, as a performer, we're paid to perform. We're paid to get people dancing. We're paid to entertain. And here they are on the dance floor, and they're having a great time. And in the back of my mind, I'm going, sometimes I just don't feel right about that.
Right.
Especially if somebody's grandma, the bride, or if somebody was to catch it, and I feel horrible.
So let's kind of jump back. You mentioned, of course, things are opened up in Iowa. That there was the recommendation for social distancing. Mask wearing, of course, is a huge political issue out there. What have you been seeing? Any of the guests wearing masks, even the older guests? What have you seen with that throughout the summer?
Early on, no. When it first around the 1st of June, the end of June, my very first wedding that I had, not a lot of mask wearing. Excuse me. Here lately, our numbers have been through the roof. Our hospitalizations are high. Our ICU rates are getting higher in ventilators. Saw a lot more masks this last weekend. Actually did a wedding for an epidemiologist at the end of September. Mm-hmm. A bunch of doctors from all around the nation. They all went to medical school together. And even some of them were not even wearing masks, even at that event. So it was surprising. And it was supposed to be a total mask event. And I was surprised that they didn't. But I would have to say this last weekend and the weekend before, because of our numbers, the increase in our numbers, and the way that's been so high, I have been seeing a lot more masks in the last couple of weeks, more so than throughout the summer. So throughout the summer, not at all.
How's the guest count going at weddings? And so you had, probably in June and July, I would guess folks were like, woohoo, we're back. It was 2019 all over again. Have you noticed a difference in the guest count, whereas typically would have been here, but now it's lower, higher, what have you?
Yeah, I've had a few occasions in which people at the wedding party had to back out. They maybe were exposed, or maybe they didn't want to get, didn't want to expose anybody else, so they backed out of the wedding. So there's been a few minor changes, but again, here lately, recently, as my wedding on Friday, she had over 40 people cancel that week after she put her food order in with the caterer, that they couldn't make it, been exposed, don't feel comfortable, or they're coming and they're leaving right after the ceremony. And so the numbers are definitely decreasing now that our numbers are so high. The numbers are decreasing at weddings, but we're still getting 150 to 200 people at a wedding.
Wow, that's so different than what a lot of people are experiencing out there. So let's kind of jump into it. So you were back to work. You were kind of that guilt feeling was going. What was your personal feeling though concerning you catching it? Because you may, for a lot of people, they've met you. You are a physical specimen. There's no question about it. But they may not realize that there's some underlying health issues that you have.
John, I honestly thought when prior to catching it, I thought if I caught it, I was going to be a dead man. I'm overweight. I got diabetes. I'm ugly. I'm old. I had 4 factors that I just knew that was going to put me. I was really nervous. I even told my daughters who live in San Diego, I was like, if I catch it, you're coming home, because I didn't know if it was going to be the end.
Yeah.
There was people that we know, the guy in Florida, John, and who's ventilated for a very long time. Our friend Ray Martinez, who didn't fare, he passed away with it, and Mike Walter's father. A lot of people didn't fare well with it.
Yeah.
A lot of people have fared well with it. But I didn't know where I fell in it, and I was very fearful of catching it. I masked up the entire time. I was dismissing tables. I masked up. I sanitized my microphone. I was taking all the precautions prior to catching it. Even now, I still take the precautions that I could prior to catching it, and I still caught it. So I was real nervous before I caught it anyway, because of the stories that you hear, friends on Facebook stories, and like I said, I thought it was a goner as soon as I caught it.
So you've had the summer from the end of June, July, August, this whole time, basically every week you've gone out, you've done shows. So there's that in the back of the mind. When did you start to have symptoms from your COVID experience?
So I remember the date was September 24th was the weekend that I was off. I scheduled myself off. I was going to take a trip with my son. So I literally kept myself open that weekend. And so the weekend before that is when I think I caught it, the Friday. So I don't know what date that was before. We'll say the 21st. I think I caught it at a wedding, or I could have caught it at a trivia night. That Monday, I was getting really, really fatigued. I was tired. I was like, it was weird. I didn't feel very weird. I didn't feel very comfortable. Tuesday, I had a bridal meeting, a bridal consultation for a wedding. It was a phone call. I didn't have to go anywhere. But I remember an hour before the phone call, I'm like, man, I'm just really tired. I'm going to lay down on the couch. I didn't miss my meeting, but I was like, lay down. I was just really fatigued. Wednesday, my fever started to come on. So I scheduled a test at a place called Test Iowa, a place that we have here. It's a drive-through testing facility. It's free of charge. And they do a nose swipe. And I've had that couple done because people at prior weddings I got notifications that, hey, somebody at our wedding had COVID. So I had to go get tested. So I'd done the nose swab a couple times. So that Thursday, I went to do the Test Iowa test. And I did it real early in the morning. Thursday night, I lost my taste. I knew I had it. Friday, the confirmation came in where Friday afternoon, Friday evening, I got the confirmation that I did test positive for COVID. And so at that point in time, my fever, I personally had a high fever, body aches. The losing my taste was the worst part. I would gag really, really bad. I couldn't eat toast. It was just like mush in my mouth, and I ended up throwing up. But I became dehydrated, and that's what took me to the ER. I never got admitted to the hospital, but I did go to the ER and got some anti-nausea medicine to where I was able or capable to eating. And once I was able to start getting down some liquids, I got some Pedialyte popsicles, some Gatorade, tried to drink as much warm broth as I could, some chicken noodle to try to keep my lungs open. And once, like I said, but it took me after getting the anti-nausea medicine and everybody's experience is different. I know a lot of people are different. My coughing and my breathing was difficult, but I slept a lot.
So how did you, you're not the only one who lives in the house. We see your pups in the background, and of course your wife was there. How did you guys kind of separate to keep her protected, or how did that work out?
It's amazing, John. I have the best wife in the world. She literally took care of me. Now, she is O positive. And I don't know if you've read any articles about people with O positive blood. They think, or they feel that they might be less likely or less susceptible to catching it. she would mask up. She was a champ, man. I couldn't eat it all, as I shared with you earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I know, I feel like this. And she'd go up there and make it and bring it down to me. And I'd take a bite and go, no, I can't do it. And I said, well, maybe let's try this. And she'd run up there and she'd get it for me. And she'd bring it down and I'd eat maybe a bite. But she was a champ. She was gold star. But she would just literally mask up. She didn't wear any PPP. She's in the health industry. So she didn't bring any home. She didn't wear a mask or wear gloves. She masked up, but no shield, and sanitized her hands. And she'd sit with me next. I'd be on the couch and she'd sit in the chair next to me and we'd watch TV together. And she never once caught it. So I think there's something might be said about that O positive blood thing, because she never once caught it.
Wow.
And then, of course, our kids, we have no kids at home, and we have a couple of bonus daughters. I'm remarried. I call them bonus versus step, and the bonus kids didn't come over at that time.
Yeah. It's just amazing how some catch it and some don't with that.
I hear it's wide open in households. I have a friend of mine in Minneapolis who has a 4-year-old daughter. He caught it and she caught it. Other friends that have reached, since I've caught it, people reach out to me. Oh my God, Cubby, I got it. What do I expect?
What is it going to
No
look
problem.
like?
And talking to anybody, checking up on them daily, seeing how they're doing, and kind of helping whenever I can. But yeah, it's crazy how families it will go through a household very, very quickly.
So you started to feel Wednesday. You're feeling by Monday, that the following Monday, that's when you went to the ER. How
Correct.
long did you continue before you started to feel better or to start to come out of it, where you were like, oh, hey, I'm not going to end up in a hospital?
7 days in, I started feeling a little bit better.
Okay.
About a week into it, I started feeling really, really good. And then I got knocked right back down again. It was awful. It was that was probably like the worst of it. It was but then at 10 days, my fever broke, and I wouldn't say it was 100% better, but I was able to eat, and then I had to get my strength back. So it took me 3 or 4 days after my fever broke that I was able to get my strength back. But I lost my weddings on the 2nd and 3rd, and then I was back to work on the 10th. So it tells you how quickly I kind of got back to work. But I started walking. I'd walk to get my lung capacity back because I'd get really winded. So I started walking down to the street side and back, and then I started do a little Bill Herman walks or some Alan Marshall walks. I didn't tape myself, for God's sakes, but because that wouldn't be very pretty. But I to get back into wedding shape, I had to walk and get my lung capacity back. I did start walking around my neighborhood to get back in somewhat. I'm never into shape, but other than a pair or a circle. But I tried to get back my lung capacity.
So you're 2 weekends basically, because one planned and one where you covered. Let's talk about that weekend where you had events that you had to deal with. This happens, and at the beginning of it, when it first was coming on, you didn't have any idea of how long or how severe. What did you do at that point? Because you had weddings the 2nd and 3rd, and they continued there for a few weeks afterwards.
Oh yeah, we've been wide open, especially it's October, and October's a new June. It's a very popular month here in the Midwest. It's beautiful fall weather, not too hot, and beautiful fall colors. So October's a very busy month for us, and we always kept one DJ in the rear. That was always been our policy in case something was to happen. We're not a large multi-op. We have 4 DJs, but we'd always keep one in the rear. But prior to COVID, or when COVID first got out, there was about 5 of us local DJs who got together and said, hey, if we can't move somebody, could you cover? Would you be able to pick up this wedding? We have a great network in Central Iowa. And then once it broke loose, I was never shy about saying that I had it. I know there's some stigma with it. You tell people that you got it. They became even my aunt wouldn't even hug me after I recovered. It still took her 2 lunches before she'd hug me again. So there's a stigma after you catch it. But once I caught, I let people know. I'm very open about it. I even had a lot more local people that said, hey, Cubby, guy Jesse Swanson from Omaha, Jake Feldman from BC Productions, people that weren't in that original 5 group, say, if you need anything, if you need something covered, let me know. And it was great to know that we're all brothers and in this together.
So you had some people lined up. They covered the 2nd and 3rd. You were coming up on the 10th, that particular weekend, the 9th and the 10th. how did you had brides there? How did you well, how would that call go when you're like, hey?
Full disclosure, I'm a full disclosure guy. I said, hey, look, I got it. I think I'm going to be good enough for your wedding. I said, I was actually officiating that. I was officiating that wedding, doing ceremony sound, and then doing the full reception. So, she was very understanding. She was a great bride. I could knock on wood. I don't think I've ever had a bridezilla. I've had a few momzillas, but never a bridezilla. And I think that comes with our training. That if you can control the meeting and show yourself as an expert, that they fully trust you, you build their trust.
Right.
And she just knew that Cubby at 80% was probably, I'm not knocking my competition, Cubby at 80% was probably better than some of his competition at 100%. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not knocking anybody in my market. We all have different personalities. We all have different, but she felt enough confidence that me at 80% would do a great job for her, and which I got a great review after. Thank you. Knock on wood.
What did you find was the biggest struggle then that first wedding back after being knocked down like that?
Breathing. Oh my gosh, breathing. Lung capacity. Carrying equipment. I kind of, here in the Midwest, we're kind of saddled with some frugal farmers, people who don't, they're price shop. Not price shoppers, but you know what I'm saying. You're in the Midwest, and so we don't get to bring second people out a lot of times. So we do a lot of our weddings solo, and it was I find myself, I wish I had somebody that night to carry equipment, but we had a photo booth that night, and my photo booth operator is my wife and my bonus daughter, so I had help that night.
Nice.
And they stayed around after the photo booth was done and helped me load out and stuff. But the grand intro, my breathing, I do a very high energy grand intro, like they're coming onto a basketball court or a football field, and I know sometimes between names I'd have to catch my breath just a second before I introduce the next one. I'd have to say breathing was a big thing for me.
How long did it take before that return to what you would get closer to normal, or has it yet?
No, I still don't have a lot of taste back, and I don't have a lot of smell back. And thank goodness I got bulldogs, and they pass gas all the time. So I don't. I'm fortunate. I'm okay with not having the smell. I still do. I still have a little bit. Still have difficulty with breathing, and taste. So my taste is still not back to normal.
Wow, does that affect your eating as far as? And certainly the enjoyment of it, but I mean,
the enjoyment, but it's never really affected anything. It's the stuff is still pretty bland. You can just say there, I put hot sauce or salsa on my eggs in the morning, and sometimes you just can't even taste it. So, and that's the worst part. Losing your taste is horrible. It's crazy. It's just so crazy.
So when you tested positive, they got in touch with you a little bit to say you were positive with that. Told you basically stay home, be a good boy. Mm-hmm. You had to go to the ER. Since the ER and such, have you had a chance to follow up with the doctors at all with the situation?
I'm horrible at that. I need to. I tell myself every day I need to call the doctor and get maybe like an X-ray on my lungs and see if there's any damage, because I don't know for sure. I just know what I feel. But I'd like to get some sort of, you're down 60% of your breathing. I can't take deep breaths. I need to. Tomorrow, text me tomorrow, John, and remind me to call my doctor. I need to. I know I need to, and I haven't though. But yeah, I surely need to.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It'd be interesting to see, and of course, they probably have so much going on that you may not follow up as well as a person would like. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see here in a few weeks afterwards what that's like.
I'll let you know. I need to.
Yeah.
I need to see where it's at.
So now you've had it. What's with these last few weddings? I mean, you had that concern before that, you could be, this person could carry it, could give it to me. This person could carry. Has it changed your mentality when you've gone into these last few weddings now that you've already had it and you've made it to the other side?
I'm still conscientious, very conscientious. I still wear a mask, even though I'm immune to it. And I know I hear of that I could be asymptomatic, which means I could still pass it. So I'm very conscious still about that. So I still mask up. For the comfortability of my bride and her guest. I still take all the precautions. I still sanitize everything, my mics, everything. Because we're out there as their entertainer and their DJ. And so whether you caught it and can't catch it again or not catch it again, which I believe there are some reports that you can catch it again. I just don't know how soon afterwards. I don't want to be the guy that caught it 30 days later. I really don't. So I don't want to be that article. So I continue to mask up and just make their guests, family, and friends feel comfortable at all times. I still wear my mask at all times. To the grocery store, everywhere. As
you look back in your past sicknesses, you've had flu, we've all had it. Where did this 10-day experience rank as far as how sick Cubby was?
I've never been sickly. I was in the Army, and so I got these shots that I've never been really sickly. This was horrible. It was like the flu times 10, to put it in perspective. It was, for me, like I said, there are some people that might have got Corona light, a little bit less of symptoms. They did really well. I know younger people do really, really well with it. It's more like flu symptoms for them. As an older person with diabetes, like I say, like at Welford Brimley, diabetes, with diabetes. And things, it hit me just a little bit different, but thank God I wasn't like anybody else that ended up in the hospital and on a vent. I wouldn't do it again. I don't want to do it again. I said, I do not want to be that report where the guy caught it 30 days later, or even 6 months later. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We had a few people just kind of saying, glad that you got over it and such in the chat room. So thank you guys for being with us tonight and on tonight's show. So the rest of the year, Iowa is open. Cases have been going up. What's Cubby's calendar looking like for November, December?
I'm booked solid all the way up till December 18th. I've got either a wedding and I got one holiday party. I can't believe it. I got a holiday party this year. Didn't see any coming. So I'm good. I'm booked even Thanksgiving weekend. That was a COVID move. I don't generally book myself on Thanksgiving weekend, but it was a COVID move, and so I accommodated it, of course. So I'm solid every weekend, and there's a couple. I have 2 of them, and then I've got 2 in January, and then and I got the old guy that gets married on Valentine's Day. That old wedding, everybody gets the old Valentine's Day wedding.
Yeah, there's always that.
And then I start back up in March. My January used to be booked with a lot of holiday parties. Just not seeing them this year at all, as I'm sure everybody else. Just not, yeah. So I got one. I'm excited. I got a holiday party, but I keep saying unfortunately. I'm not unfortunate. Unfortunately, I got a lot of weddings left to do. So, knock on wood.
Have you been hearing any conversations again, because Iowa is open for business that way? Are you hearing things from the brides as they're starting to be concerned? And what are they telling you?
I got a call from a nervous mother just the other day because, like I said, our numbers recently have nearly doubled, and every day where our hospitalizations are growing. I don't think our governor, and I'm not trying to make this political at all, but she'd stated that she wasn't going to do another press conference until after the elections. But I think her tone, and again, I'm not trying to make this political, but the White House COVID response team has asked her to limit restrictions and make a mask mandate and limit social gatherings and restaurants and bars. And they have told her 3 times to do this, and she hasn't listened to one of them. So I think her toes are pretty well dug in the sand. That I don't foresee her doing anything. And as I'm watching hospitalizations, they're increasing, but they're not. We're not like Italy was or New York City was, where they're in the hallways. You know what I'm saying? We're not overran yet. We got plenty of events left. That because they show that on we can go to a website here in Iowa and monitor that. They are increasing, but they're not to critical level yet. To where I think her toes are pretty well dug in the sand that we will remain open. I can't imagine something happening.
So you have the mothers, and you'll have some brides that might
I
be.
tell them, yeah, I tell them, look, you're going to get your cancelations. You're going to get your people the week of that either may have been exposed or actually caught it the week of, or don't feel comfortable coming. And you know what? That is okay. Unfortunately, it's a fact. Right now, it's what we have to deal with. But the people that do come are there to celebrate. Are there to celebrate the bride and groom, and we're going to have a great time in doing so. We'll just do safely. And social distance. And all I can do is make as many announcements as possible. When you dismiss tables from the buffet, always make sure there's a sanitizing station prior to going through, and make sure that I don't kill it. I don't want to kill a party, but just say, look, just monitor. You're dancing. You dance within your friend group, and keep masked up and whatever you're comfortable with, whatever they're comfortable with. But I don't want to be that buzzkill either. There's a line. There's a fine line.
Yeah, between being.
So
yeah, well, excellent, Cubby. I'm first off glad you made it through, and because I was, in that message I sent about avenging, I was planning on it. I had my plans together, but I'm glad you came through and looking so good. This is the first time I've actually seen you after the experience. So you're looking good. That's for sure. So
get out.
Thank you guys for being with us tonight. If you guys have got any questions, or if it's something that maybe a close person, a friend or something, or a family member, and you're wondering, reach out to Cubby. He's
Please.
One of the most giving people out there. If you've got some concerns, give him a call. He's got the firsthand experience, and there's obviously more details than what he gave in tonight's show because we want to keep it kind of moving along and such. But feel free to find him on Facebook and reach out to him. So
I took a call at 5:00 this afternoon from somebody who just caught it in the Michigan area, and I have no problem in taking time and sharing my experience with you and what to expect, because I know it's scary. It is a very scary thing when you get that. Oh, by the way, you're positive.
Yeah.
Reach out, man. I'll help you any way I can.
Sounds great, Cubby. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for being with tonight. We are going to wrap up for this segment, and we'll be back at the top of the hour. Dan and Shane and I will be coming back and kind of talking about some ways to get your name out here that is going to be a little bit different here at the end of 2020 and into 2021. We'll be back in about a half hour. Thanks again, Cubby.
Thanks.